الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. If you were presented with a nice plate or tray of fruit, let's say it's watermelon, slices of watermelon for example, or banana and other fruits and so forth, are you allowed to take two pieces? Ya Jama'ah, can you take two pieces at a time? Yeah, you have a group of people around you, mashallah, the tray is plenty, alhamdulillah, it's full. Are you allowed to grab two pieces, one you eat and one you reserve? So no one will take it before you, right? Are you allowed to do that? How about two bananas? Grab two, just one to finish and one just on the side, making sure on your pocket exactly, so that no one will take it. Can you do that? What if it was candy? Someone is giving you chocolate, let's say. So Eid, and when Eid comes and so on, people they serve chocolate, right? Are you allowed to grab 2 or 3?
Chocolate is a different story.
Chocolate is different, right? No. You see, subhanAllah, dinuna, subhanAllah, ajab, la ilaha illallah. Even in such an etiquette like this, we have an instruction from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, this is something for us, maybe it's given. But it had to come from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to teach this ummah. Imagine this whole ummah was taught by the etiquette of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. الإمام النووي رحمه الله تعالى يقول في رياض الصالحين في كتاب أدب الطعام, the book about the etiquette of eating, قال باب النهي عن القران بين تمرتين ونحوهما إذا أكل جماعة إلا بإذن رفقته. He says the chapter on the prohibition of eating 2 date fruits simultaneously. You have to take them basically together. ونحوهما, or similar to that, which doesn't have to be date. إذا أكل جماعة, that's if you eat in congregation with a group, basically. إلا بإذن رفقته, unless you take permission. فقال عن جبلة ابن سحيم رضي الله عنه قال أصابنا عام سنة مع ابن الزبير. He said جبلة ibn Suhaym, he said we were with Abdullah ibn Zubayr رضي الله تعالى عنه in a time of famine. كان عندهم نوع من الجفاف في ذلك العام. So the food started diminishing. They didn't have abundance like last year. قال فرزقنا تمرا. Alhamdulillah, he says, one of these occasions we were provided with dates. Someone supplied them with dates. Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiallahu ta'ala, at that time he was actually in Mecca, and he was almost ruling almost most of Arabian Peninsula as he was fighting against the Umayyads. But then he retreated because of the fights of Al-Thaqafi, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, until he was confined to Mecca. So during that season, he had some trouble finding supplies for his armies. So one of these occasions, he said, we were provided with dates. وكان عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما يمر بنا ونحن نأكل. Abdullah bin Umar, who was also in Mecca, he used to pass by the people as they were eating. فيقول لا تقارنوا. He used to say, he says, do not eat 2 days together. لا تقارنوا. قال فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن الإقران. For the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he prohibited this practice. ثم يقول إلا أن يستأذن الرجل أخاه. He says, except after seeking permission from one's brother, which means the partner who's with you, eating with you. So for example, if you like strawberries, and then nice, beautiful, big strawberries are there in the plate, for example. You grab one, and then underneath there's another one. So if you want to take the other one, you tell the guy, says, guys, anyone wants this strawberry? If everybody says, no, that's fine, you can take it. If someone says, I'd like to have one, you cannot say, but I'm looking at it, I asked for it first. Khalas, if someone else is taking it, give it to them. Similar to this also, if you're eating dates, if you eat whatever you eat, if something basically that comes in quantities, it's not like when you eat rice. When you eat rice, that's different. You're not going to eat 1 grain at a time. Rice you eat, of course, as much as you fill your spoon, your hand. But we're talking about food that is in quantities, basically like apples or bananas or dates and so on. So eventually, if you are going to eat with a group of people, then you need to seek permission. Slices of more watermelon on the plate or on the tray. Don't grab one and then another one, just like we said. Eat one and reserve the other one. Don't do that. Just eat And when you're done, if there is still left, alhamdulillah, ba'min over, you're going to eat another one. Or if you're leaving, you tell the guys, I'm leaving. Do you mind if I take another one? So you seek permission from them. If one of them says no, then you should not take. Don't say, Ya akhi, don't be so mean to me. Khalas, if you're leaving and they said no to you, you don't have to press basically that demand. And if you leave without taking the other one, alhamdulillah, you've been given what was provided for you. Rizq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be grateful to Allah azza wa jal. And they have the right to stay together because the purpose of sitting together is to socialize. So if they want to socialize and the food is there, that's their right. Wallahu ta'ala. Any questions, Jima? No.
So what about a dish with probably chicken, right?
Alhamdulillah.
Put it in your plate. Just one?
If someone, if you have, let's say, if you're visiting a house, and then they have, let's say it's an open buffet style, for example. So you're going to go and serve food. So they have one tray that has all this chicken, right? Do I have to take one chicken, one piece of chicken, or can I put 2 or 3? Ya Jama'ah. I would say it depends. I would depend. If they come like these tikka, small pieces, then in this case take what is usually known to be enough for an average person, which is basically when they take one whole skewer. In this case, we'll have 3-4 pieces, for example. That's supposed to be normal and okay, unless you know that there's no one else. You're not going to leave enough for everybody else. In this case, you should actually take less than that. Like a Ramadan, ya Jama'ah. Alhamdulillah, at least in Ramadan we have the food comes box, right? We don't see the atrocities of some other masajid they have in their communities. When the food is presented on the table, people just feel like there's no one else is eating. SubhanAllah, after them. So therefore, you need to be to look basically at the circumstances. But if there's no one else is there and mashallah plenty of food and they made more than enough for everybody, and it's okay to serve more than one, that's fine, inshallah, as long as you can eat. No.
Sheikh, if we have a bowl of say dates,
Uh-huh.
and we know that there are some good pizza and little bit less
Uh-huh.
pizza and that. So is it okay to take the better one?
If someone is presenting you dates, and some of those dates are juicy, mashallah, the other one are not that so juicy, right? Can I pick or do just take whichever comes in front of me? What do you guys say?
I pick it.
Whatever comes in front.
You pick the best, right? Mashallah. The answer is yes, you can pick, because now it's still presented. You see, they're offering it to you, so you can pick, from whichever you feel is good for you. But if the food is in front of you and you sit there and everybody's eating, in this case, you eat from in front of you. Wallahu a'lam. No.
Similar question, like when it's a buffet type of thing, even though it's maybe fruit, okay?
No.
You don't want to go and get one date and come back and eat and then go and get another one. What's the...
No, like I said, once you have an open buffet, if it's open buffet, that means the food, alhamdulillah, is abundant, right? So they assume that it's going to be enough for everybody. If you know that it's going to be sufficient for everybody, you can take more than one. But if you think that it's not going to be that much, in this case, you need to ask permission. Just like in the case, as we said, let's say outside the masjid, someone brings, let's say, slices of watermelon. You know that it's not going to be sufficient for everybody in the masjid if you take 2 slices. So therefore, you ask permission. Guys, I'm going to leave. Do you mind if I take one with me? Excuse me. Go ahead, take it, inshallah. And if no one else comes after that, alhamdulillah, you have plenty of rizq afterwards. Wallahu a'lam. So when it comes to an open buffet, they assume there is enough food for everybody, so you can serve. But still though, when you serve the first time, always put in mind that, you know what, let's first all of us have one round, and then inshallah if there is left over afterwards, we can take a second round. But unfortunately, I've seen so many people when they come to open buffet, their first round is the one and only. So therefore, Allah musta'an, they feel like again there is no tomorrow. Nah.
Sure.
Fadal.
Off the subject, Qiyam al-Layl, is it the sunnah to read out loud or to read in a very low voice?
Nah.
And is it preferably to read what you have memorized or open the Quran?
Nah. And a question about Qiyam al-Layl, is it better to recite out loud or kind of silently or a little bit, not too loud? First, it's better to recite. Actually, the Prophet ﷺ was instructed in the Quran, وَلَا تَجْهَرْ بِصَلَاتِكَ وَلَا تُخَافِتْ بِهَا وَابْتَغِ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا. So not too loud and not too quiet. Unless you're praying in a room where you have somebody sleeping there, like for example your spouse, a child, a roommate, someone else in the room. In this case, you don't raise your voice loud. Unless you go to another room, you can raise your voice a little bit loud enough for you to hear. But it doesn't mean to scream out loud for the neighbors, let's say, to call the police on you. Instead, just make it a little bit as Allah subhanahu described, وَابْتَغِي بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا. As for reciting from the Mus'haf or reciting from memorization, there is no doubt it's better to recite from what you memorize by heart. Because when you recite from something from the heart, it really comes from the heart. Which means you can reflect, it's easy for you to reflect, it's easy for you to think of, and it's easy for you to go back and forth basically to the meanings. But if you have a Mus'haf in your hand and recite something that you don't know by heart, you're going to get distracted by the pages, by the calligraphy, by the lines and so forth. So there's no really concentration or focus on reciting from the Mus'haf. I'm not saying it's haram and it's not, Salah would be invalid. No, Salah is still valid. This is for the Qiyamul Layl, not for the Fard Salah. For Qiyamul Layl, it's okay to recite from the Mus'haf, but it's still preferable, of course, to recite from your hifz and your memorization. And then also it's an incentive for people to memorize more, that's number one. Memorize longer surahs, that's second. And number three, inshallah ta'ala, those who memorize something, it is the best way for them to review what they have memorized. Because if you know that you have a Mus'haf in your hand, you'll always cheat. But if you know you're not going to use the Mus'haf, you're going to have to review it before you get into your Salah. Wallahu ta'ala. Subhanakallah wa hamdika.